Today is a good day. Chain plates are in, or finally in. Got a few put in last week and got the rest of them in today. So as another owner says, boat jewelry. Kind of nice to have little shiny bits on the boat. But like Greg, owner of Guinevere, he got his made at Garhauer, so that I decided to go ahead and get mine made from there too. And like him, all the holes lined up really nice. Everything lined up perfectly. Although the top two on here got a little tight, so I ended up using a rubber mallet to get it in there, which is where these marks come from. So I can just wet sand that out of there. But everything turned out really well. Really happy. The bowsprit, the chain plate for the bowsprit, it was a little bit difficult. I first put it in where the 4 bolts at right here in, but then the one at the top was a little too far forward, and couldn't bang that in or anything, so I ended up having to take these out, redid the butyl tape, which I used the butyl tape on all of them, but put the one on the top, and then like Greg, had to get another bolt in one of these holes, pry it up in order to get these other bolts in there and tighten those in, and then those were good. So everything really turned out well on these. I'm happy. So the bowsprit, the bow chain plate, a little bit of difficulty, but nothing I couldn't handle. These ones went in just fine. You can kind of see the butyl tape squeezing out of there. As I was cleaning them up, well, first of all, the red stripe, I wanted to put another couple coats of paint on there first before the chain plates, but with a lot of rain that we had here recently, I decided to go ahead and put the chain plates up, and I can work around them to repaint. But the rain was causing a leak. Got some water in the boat where I didn't want it. Supposed to keep it on the outside of the boat, but I got these in, and so when I had the tape wasn't holding too well, so I took the tape out, wiped it with acetone, wet sanded with 600, 800, and 1500 sandpaper. Then I drilled a countersink in each of the holes, and then I just put all the bolts here. If you remember from a previous video, polished the bolt heads. The polish finish on the chain plates came from Garhauer's, so they were already like that when I got them. So I put a polish on the bolt heads, on the carriage bolts to match. Everything, like you can kind of see on the bolts, they have a label of 316, so they're all 316 stainless. I decided to splurge a little, but let's see. So I drilled the countersink, put all the bolts in the chain plate and the wood backers. The wood backers, I think it was three coats of varnish, and they were already really smooth by that 3rd coat. And then let's see, I put the bolts through the chain plates and then wrapped the butyl tape around the bolts kind of keeps the bolts in place. And then if I had to, I used the rubber mallet to get the bolts through the holes. And then went on the inside for the nuts and tightened everything down, and now you got that little squeeze out of the butyl tape. And then with the countersink, it should hug right onto the threads and keep any water from getting in. I'll probably get some I'll probably get a little wad of butyl tape that I have around somewhere and start pulling off that squeeze out, that excess butyl tape, and clean it out a little bit better. But it doesn't really hurt anything this way though either. I mean, the stuff is pretty sticky too. Stuff wanted to stick on my hand every time I pulled it out from the tape reel. And here, this is the stuff from Mainsail. Guy on the sailing forums, he goes by Mainsail. Look for a website, Compass Marine, and you'll see a spot on there where he sells this butyl tape. Apparently a lot of people swear by it. I bought 2 rolls, so I got this one and another one in the bag. The butyl tape itself can stick to the paper. The paper sometimes separates. Then you got to get the little paper bits off the butyl, and so it can be a nuisance, but it works, or it seems to work so far. Yeah, I'd say this is worth it so far. No issues. Got a little acetone. This right here, I keep my sandpaper. Keep the different sizes in there separated. And then this is the countersink bit. It's 1/2 inch size. There we go. So it's 1/2 inch. And the blue on there, I saw it's not just from the old blue that I painted over on the red. It's also looked like a thin blue layer just below the gel coat. So that's where some of this blue came from on here. But everything turned out really well. So nice and shiny. And you can see me in the bullheads too. I like how these turned out. They look good. And with the boat being about 34 years old, I mean, these things ought to last a while. Probably well after I own the boat. So I'm glad this is done. So onto the inside, and here's the interior. Put the light on. Here's the back of the chain plates. Turn this little heater off. Well, these are the nuts. The one I had to grind out in order to get the old nut off. The hardest one was the one up there. Actually, on both sides, that one and the one behind the nav desk were a little difficult. The other 3 were not as bad, or excuse me, the other 2 on each side were not as bad. This side is a little bit more accessible. Still, like another one on the top and then one just below. So, got some cleaning up to do. Got to vacuum up a lot of this stuff right here from those countersinks that I drilled. But got some cleaning up, and then I can probably put these wood panels on, but I might check just to make sure there's no other leaking elsewhere. I thought there might be, but might be good to check just to be sure. And then I can clean up everything else in here and work on that right there. I've got plenty to do. I mean, from trying to get the engine out so I can get to the fuel tank, cut that out. Got some engine pieces around. Got a couple little service kits for the manual bilge pump. And then these right here. These are the Bexon Access Force Clear View. These are the 8-inch openings, and they're 10-inch total across. These will go on the top of the water tanks that are under each quarter berth. The instructions for this says only use silicone, like 100% silicone. Somewhere right here. But it's been suggested to me that I should use a gasket of some sort, so I'm saying not to rely just on the silicone, but use another gasket. So I'm thinking a thin sheet of neoprene, and might be able to have an added gasket under there to clean up. But here's the collection of the old chain plates. From the bow, the two stern, the sides, move this out of the way. And then again, the reason for new chain plates. The one that broke there. A little bright for the light, but let me turn that off. I mean, still, there it is. So you can kind of see the rust kind of come through for a moment, but so yeah, we can get those out of here since I won't need them again. But overall, she's coming along.